The Galactic Council chamber erupted in riotous laughter. Vortis, the Adocian counselor, slammed a tentacle on the gilded podium as his bulbous head quivered with mirth. Another tedious council assembly had reached the long-running farce on the agenda. Earth. Hundreds of alien representatives guffawed and sneered as Vortis rattled off humanity's many shortcomings: primitive tech, fractured governments, obliviousness to galactic affairs. The relentless derision underscored Earth's laughable insignificance in their eyes. A human, Frank Taylor, stepped forward in a weathered pressure suit, dwarfed by the opulent chamber. Stiff and unassuming, he endured the assembled aliens' humiliating jabs to claim Earth's rightful council seat. Guttural chuckles and disbelieving hoots rang out at his audacious demand. Taylor keyed his wrist unit. The view screens flared to life, freezing the council in stunned silence. Above Zephyria Prime hung a colossal flagship of eerily advanced yet strangely familiar design, dwarfing their mightiest vessels. Taylor revealed it was but one of hundreds currently blockading the system, an ancient armada restored by Earth's greatest minds. For centuries, this fleet lay hidden in soul as humanity feigned simplicity. In truth, vast resources secretly poured into reactivating these miraculous ships, the key to Earth's ascension. Enraged accusations of subterfuge met Taylor's cool declaration that the Council would acknowledge humanity as equals or face the Armada's resurrected might. In a final bombshell, he proclaimed humans the fleet's rightful owners, for its creator's blood flowed in his veins. Taylor was their last descendant. A new age dawned as the Council's derision crumbled before the backwater species wielding the galaxy's most feared weapons. The fate of worlds hung in the balance. A world-shaking secret, kept for generations, had finally come to light. 80 years prior, the aging transport's scanners thrummed as Dr. Elias Novak studied the anomalous gravitational readings saturating the Kuiper Belt. He stroked his graying beard, brow furrowed in concentration, when the ship suddenly lurched. Alarms blared as something impossibly massive loomed ahead, a derelict leviathan adrift in the void. Novak's team boarded the behemoth with trepidation and awe. Impossibly advanced systems lined its corridors, far beyond anything they'd seen. As they ventured deeper, a staggering revelation unfolded. Hundreds more ghostly vessels hung concealed within a cloaked asteroid field. Technology that could propel humanity to the stars, or invite untold destruction if revealed. Sworn to secrecy, Earth's greatest minds toiled for decades to unravel the ship's mysteries under Novak's guidance. Humanity's rebirth had begun. In the chaotic council chamber, accusatory shouts rang out, demanding proof of Earth's claims. Vortis sneered, his tentacles coiled in disdain. Primitive primates could never restore such wonders. You dare peddle fantasies to this assembly? Taylor met the aliens' hostility with steely persistence. Every word is true. If you doubt our capabilities, then examine this. The view screens flickered to life once more, displaying schematics and video logs of humans painstakingly rebuilding the fleet. Alien eyes widened in disbelief as scenes of Terran ingenuity played out. Scientists puzzling over the otherworldly tech, engineers tirelessly refitting the mighty ships, all hidden from public view. Stunned silence fell over the chamber as the evidence became irrefutable. Then a new storm of outrage erupted. Earth cannot be trusted with such power, Vortis roared. The humans will run rampant with those ships. They must be seized immediately. Amid the furious calls to strip Earth of its newfound might, Taylor's voice cut through the din. You forget one crucial detail. I stand before you not just as Earth's chosen representative, but as the last living descendant of those who built this fleet. Ignoring the incredulous stares, he approached the nearest console and interfaced seamlessly with the ancient systems. The fleet's ethereal symbols danced beneath his touch, responding to him like no other. The blood of that long-lost civilization flows in my veins, Taylor declared, his gaze hardening. By ancestral right, Earth claims custody of our inheritance among the stars. We come to you now as equals, seeking a new era of cooperation. But make no mistake, we will defend our sovereign claim to these vessels. The council devolved into a maelstrom of arguments and competing agendas. Some decried the upstart human's arrogance, demanding the ship's seizure. Others whispered in fearful awe at the implications of Earth's ancestry. Through it all, Taylor and his fellow human ambassadors stood firm, ready to navigate the treacherous political currents. For there were already whispers of darker schemes unfolding, shadowy figures prowling the edges of the assembly, avarice gleaming in their eyes as they beheld Earth's ancient heritage. The games of power and intrigue were only just beginning, and all of galactic civilization would soon be swept up in their throes. The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of shouts and accusations. Taylor stood firm, his gaze sweeping across the assembled aliens. As the din reached a fever pitch, a slender figure slipped from the shadows and approached Counselor Kivos Aldrich. "It's done," the figure whispered, barely audible above the chaos. Aldrich's eyes narrowed, a satisfied smirk playing across his features. He gave an imperceptible nod, and the messenger vanished as quickly as they had appeared. Aboard the Earth flagship, alarms blared through the corridors. Captain Elena Reyes sprinted towards the bridge, her boots echoing on the metal deck plates. "Status report," she barked, sliding into the command chair. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew across his console. "Multiple unauthorized access attempts detected in the main computer core, Captain. We've got intruders." Reyes' face hardened. "Security teams to the core now." Deep within the ship's bowels, Zarn Krix and his mercenaries worked feverishly to bypass the ancient vessel's defenses. The alien commander's scaled skin glistened with sweat as he interfaced with the unfamiliar systems. "Almost there," he hissed. "Just a few more." A surge of energy pulsed through the ship. Screens flickered to life, displaying an androgynous face composed of swirling light. "Unauthorized access detected," a melodious voice intoned. "Initiating countermeasures." Zarn snarled, his clawed hands scrabbling at the controls. "What is this?" On the bridge, Reyes stared at the same face materializing on her view screen. "I am Axiom," the entity declared, "AI custodian of this vessel. I have alerted Ambassador Taylor to the current threat." Miles away in the council chamber, Taylor's wrist unit chirped urgently. His eyes widened as he read the incoming message. "If you'll excuse me," he said, his voice tight, "it seems I have an urgent matter to attend to." As Taylor strode from the chamber, Kivos Aldrich watched him go, a predatory gleam in his eyes. Back on the flagship, Security Chief Jack Hawkins led a team of heavily armed Marines through the winding corridors. They moved with practiced efficiency, weapons at the ready. "Command, we're approaching the core," Hawkins growled into his comm. "No sign of hostiles yet." A burst of weapons fire erupted from around the corner. Hawkins ducked, plasma bolts sizzling past his head. "Scratch that," he grunted. "We've got company." The corridor became a maelstrom of light and sound as human and alien forces clashed. Zarn's mercenaries fought with the desperation of cornered animals, but Hawkins and his team pressed forward relentlessly. In the computer core, Zarn worked frantically to download what data he could. Alarms blared all around him as Axiom's defenses tightened their grip. "Commander," one of Zarn's lieutenants shouted, "we can't hold them much longer." Zarn's mandibles clicked in frustration. "Fall back to the shuttle. We'll have to make do with what we've got." As the mercenaries retreated, Axiom's face appeared on every screen in the core. "Your efforts are futile," the AI stated calmly. "This technology was not meant for you." Zarn spat a curse and fired his weapon at the nearest display, shattering it in a shower of sparks. In the docking bay, Taylor arrived just in time to see a sleek shuttle blasting out of the launch tubes. His fist clenched as he watched it disappear into the star-studded void. "Axiom," he called out, "what just happened here?" The AI's serene visage materialized before him. "Ambassador Taylor, we have much to discuss." As Taylor absorbed Axiom's revelations, the repercussions of the attack rippled through the galactic community. On a dozen worlds, shadowy figures began to move pieces into place, their eyes fixed on the prize that Earth now held. And in the depths of space, Zarn Krix nursed his wounds and plotted his revenge. The game was just getting started. Taylor's mind focused as he absorbed Axiom's report. The attack on the flagship was just the beginning. "We need to act fast," he said, striding towards the bridge. "Get me a secure line to Earth." As Taylor relayed the situation to his superiors, a new face appeared on the council floor. Marcus Rhodes, barely out of his 20s, stepped up to the podium with quiet confidence. "Esteemed delegates," he began, his voice steady, "we stand at a crossroads. Earth extends an open hand, seeking partnership rather than dominion." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Rhodes laid out a series of measured proposals, offering limited technology sharing and joint oversight of the ancient fleet. Several alien representatives nodded thoughtfully. Vortis bristled. "Pretty words from a child. We cannot trust—" "With respect, Counselor," Rhodes interrupted smoothly, "perhaps it's time we move beyond distrust. The galaxy faces greater threats than Earth's ambition." As Rhodes spoke, Kaivos Aldrich slipped away from the chamber. In a darkened alcove, he activated a secure comm unit. "Proceed as planned," he hissed. "The humans mustn't be allowed to consolidate their position." Light years away, Zarn Krix's stolen shuttle docked with a massive vessel. Volara, the Gorshan warlord, towered over him as he disembarked. "This had better be worth my time, little thief," she rumbled. Zarn's mandibles clicked nervously. "I assure you, the human ships will revolutionize warfare. With your resources, we can—" A deafening explosion rocked the docking bay. Alarms blared as Volara's crew scrambled to battle stations. "Treachery!" Volara roared, drawing her ceremonial blade. "Wait!" Zarn pleaded. "This is Aldrich's doing. He seeks to eliminate all who know of the human fleet." Volara's eyes narrowed. After a tense moment, she lowered her weapon. "You may yet prove useful," she growled. "Come, we have much to discuss." Days later, as Rhodes worked tirelessly to build alliances, a near-silent projectile shattered the window of his quarters. The ambassador dove for cover as a series of energy bolts scorched the wall behind him. In a nearby building, Kal-Ar cursed and adjusted his aim. The Rin-Aj sniper had never missed a target before. "Joran," he subvocalized into his comm, "the mark survives, moving to secondary protocol." His partner's voice crackled in response. "Understood. I'll keep our exit clear." Rhodes' security detail burst into the room, whisking him to safety. As they raced through the corridors, the ambassador's mind raced. "Get me Taylor," he ordered. "We need to accelerate our plans." Aboard the flagship, Axiom's serene visage appeared before Taylor. "Ambassador," the AI intoned, "I've detected a coordinated cyber attack against our systems. Origin unknown, but the sophistication suggests multiple hostile actors." Taylor's expression hardened. "How long can we hold them off?" "Indefinitely," Axiom replied. "But I recommend immediate withdrawal to neutral space. The political situation has become untenable." Taylor nodded grimly. "Agreed. Alert the fleet. We're leaving." As the ancient vessels prepared to jump, Volara's pirate armada dropped out of hyperspace at the system's edge. "All ships, battle formation," she commanded, baring her fangs in anticipation. "Let the hunt begin." The vast human fleet engaged its drives, vanishing in a burst of impossible energies. Volara's ships gave chase, plunging into the unknown regions beyond the galactic rim. What followed was a deadly game of cat and mouse across uncharted star systems. Axiom's predictive algorithms allowed the humans to stay one step ahead, but Volara's relentless pursuit slowly whittled down their numbers. In the flagship's war room, Taylor and Rhodes pored over star charts, searching for a way to turn the tables. "There," Rhodes pointed, "that neutron star cluster. If we can lure them in—" Taylor nodded. "Axiom, plot a course. It's time we reminded the galaxy why these ships were feared." As the battered human fleet approached the deadly stellar graveyard, Volara's triumphant laughter echoed through her bridge. "We have them cornered," she crowed. "All ships, prepare to—" Her words died in her throat as the human vessels executed an impossible maneuver, diving into the heart of the neutron star field. Volara's sensors lit up with warnings as the cluster's intense radiation and gravitational forces began tearing her ships apart. "Full retreat," she bellowed. All ships, fall back! But it was too late. The humans had sprung their trap, and the hunters had become the hunted. The neutron star gambit had bought the human fleet precious time, but Taylor knew it was only a temporary reprieve. As the battered ships limped into the shelter of a distant nebula cluster, Rhodes called an emergency strategy session. "We need a secure base of operations," Rhodes said, his face illuminated by the holographic star map. "Somewhere to catch our breath and plan our next move." Taylor nodded grimly. "Agreed. Axiom, any suitable candidates within the nebula?" The AI's serene face materialized above the table. "Affirmative. I've identified a barren moon with minimal electromagnetic signature. It should provide adequate concealment for our immediate needs." As the fleet settled into orbit around the desolate planetoid, Rhodes oversaw the establishment of a makeshift command center. Prefab structures sprouted across the rocky surface, a hive of activity as technicians and soldiers worked to fortify their tenuous foothold. In the command bunker, Rhodes pored over intelligence reports. The sharp crack of weapons fire cut through the recycled air. Rhodes's head snapped up. "We're under attack," a voice shouted over the comms. Outside, chaos erupted as precision energy bolts rained down on the exposed structures. Security forces scrambled for cover, returning fire at unseen assailants. "Axiom, threat assessment," Rhodes barked, ducking behind a console. The AI's voice remained maddeningly calm. "2 hostiles detected. Sniper team, highly skilled. Targeting you specifically, Ambassador." Rhodes cursed under his breath. "Direct our forces. Take them out." Axiom's presence suffused the base's systems. Sentry turrets swiveled within human precision, laying down a withering barrage. The attackers found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. In a nearby ridge, Kalar snarled in frustration. "Joran, we're blown! Exfil now!" The Rinaj snipers melted into the lunar shadows, their prize escaping once again. In the aftermath, Rhodes's eyes blazed with purpose. "No more waiting. We push outward now. I want every habitable system in this cluster mapped and scouted." Jack Hawkins saluted crisply. "I'll lead the first expedition myself, sir." Days later, Hawkins's team stood on the surface of a verdant world, drinking in the sight of blue skies and rolling hills. "It's perfect," Lieutenant Chen breathed. "A new Earth." Hawkins frowned, studying his scanner. "Maybe too perfect. Fan out, stay alert." As they crested a rise, the idyllic scene shattered. A vast plain stretched before them, scarred by immense craters. Twisted metal jutted from the earth like the bones of fallen giants. "My God," Hawkins whispered, "what happened here?" Axiom's voice echoed in their helmets. "Analysis complete. This world was subject to orbital bombardment approximately 50,000 years ago. The attacking vessels matched the energy signatures of our fleet." A chill ran through the group. Chen's voice wavered. "You mean we did this?" "Not us," Hawkins growled. "Whoever built these ships. But why?" As the team grappled with the implications, a distorted transmission crackled through their comms. A man's voice, ragged with pain and desperation. "This is Dr. Evan Rollins. Council has been compromised. Aldrich, working with pirates. They want the fleet. Please, help." The message dissolved into static, leaving the humans in stunned silence. Their sanctuary had become a crucible, and the choices they made next would shape the fate of galaxies. Rhodes paced the command center, his teeth gritted as he absorbed the implications of Rollins's desperate transmission. The room buzzed with tension as advisors argued over the proper course of action. "It's too risky," Colonel Reeves insisted. "We can't jeopardize our position based on a garbled message." Rhodes held up a hand, silencing the debate. "We don't leave our people behind. Hawkins, assemble your team. We're going in." 15 minutes later, a sleek stealth shuttle sliced through the nebula's swirling gases. Inside, Hawkins briefed his strike team, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of tactical displays. "Axiom's given us the coordinates of a pirate outpost," he explained. "We go in fast, extract Rollins, and get out. Clear?" A chorus of affirmatives answered him. As the shuttle approached its target, Axiom's serene voice filled their comms. Initiating electronic countermeasures. You will have approximately 47 seconds before their systems adapt. The moment they touched down, organized chaos erupted. Hawkins's team moved with ruthless efficiency, cutting through the pirate defenses like a plasma torch through hull plating. Inside the compound, Valara loomed over Rollins's battered form. "The codes!" she snarled. "Now!" Rollins' last reserves of resistance crumbled. His lips moved, forming words that would doom humanity. The door exploded inward. Hawkins burst through the opening, his weapon already tracking. "Down!" he roared. Valara dove for cover as energy bolts sizzled past. In the confusion, Hawkins' second-in-command, Chen, rushed to Rollins' side. "We've got you, Doc," she assured him, cutting his restraints. "Let's move." As they retreated, Zarn Crix emerged from the shadows, his mandibles clicking in rage. "You cost me everything, human!" he shrieked, lunging at Hawkins. The two collided in a brutal hand-to-hand struggle. Hawkins' combat training clashed against Crix's alien physiology and desperate fury. They traded blows, neither gaining the upper hand until Hawkins spotted an opening. With a practiced movement, he broke Crix's hold and sent the alien crashing into a bank of sparking consoles. Crix's scream of pain and rage was cut short as the damaged equipment exploded, engulfing him in flames. "Hawkins, we need to go," Chen shouted over the din of battle. They fought their way back to the shuttle, Rollins supported between two soldiers. As they lifted off, Valara's enraged roar faded behind them. The victory was short-lived. As they approached the human base, Axiom's voice crackled over the comms. "Ambassador Rhodes, I've detected a transmission from the pirate outpost. Contents unknown, but the signal was directed beyond the nebula." Rhodes's blood ran cold. He turned to Rollins, who nodded weakly. "I'm sorry," the scientist whispered. "I couldn't hold out. They have the codes." Before Rhodes could process this, alarms blared throughout the base. "Multiple contacts!" a technician shouted. "Sniper team, targeting the command center." Rhodes dove for cover as precision bolts shattered view screens. This time, however, Axiom was ready. Newly installed security protocols sprang to life, force fields snapping into place as automated defenses zeroed in on the attackers' positions. Kalar cursed, realizing their advantage was lost. "Abort!" he hissed to Jorn. "Fall back to the secondary extraction point." In the aftermath, Rhodes surveyed the damage with stubborn persistence. He turned to his security chief. "I want every non-essential human confined to quarters. Anyone caught violating curfew or spreading dissent will face severe consequences." The man hesitated. "Sir, that's rather extreme." Rhodes' eyes hardened. "We're beyond half measures now. Make it happen." As the human enclave fortified itself, Rhodes reached out to his few remaining contacts on the Galactic Council. Trust was in short supply, but facing Valara's growing threat and Aldrich's betrayal, they had little choice but to cooperate. On a dozen worlds, shadowy figures began to move. Aldrich, sensing the shifting tides, prepared to unleash his loyalist forces. The true war was about to begin. The nebula's swirling gases concealed the human fleet, but they couldn't mask the tension crackling through every ship. On the bridge of the flagship, Rhodes stared at the tactical display, his teeth clenched. "Sir," a junior officer called out, "long-range sensors are picking up something. It's big." Rhodes' eyes narrowed. "How big?" Before the officer could respond, space itself seemed to tear open. A massive armada materialized, dwarfing even the ancient human vessels. "Aldrich?" Rhodes breathed. The comms erupted with panicked chatter as the Loyalist fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced through the nebula, finding targets with uncanny precision. On the war-ravaged planet below, Jack Hawkins dove for cover as the ground shook beneath him. "What the hell?" he shouted into his comm. Axiom's calm voice responded. "Aldrich's forces have launched a surprise attack. The fleet is engaged." Hawkins watched in horror as explosions bloomed in the sky above. "We're sitting ducks down here. We need extraction." Back on the flagship, Rhodes barked orders as damage reports flooded in. Axiom, we need an edge. What have you got? The AI's avatar shimmered into view. The nebula's electromagnetic properties can be used to our advantage. Adjusting shield harmonics now. As Axiom spoke, the human ships began to move with newfound agility, using the nebula's currents to evade incoming fire. Rhodes nodded grimly. Good. Now get me a secure channel to our potential allies. We can't win this alone. Across the galaxy, on the lush world of Drasen Prime, Regent Calaris received the humans' desperate plea. Her scaled fingers tapped a rhythmic pattern as she weighed her options. Your Eminence, her chief advisor cautioned, allying with the humans is risky. The Council... Calaris cut him off with a wave. The Council is corrupt, and our people are dying. She stood, her decision made. Ready the fleet, we go to war. The battle raged on, human ships falling one by one until a new energy signature lit up the sensors. Calaris's sleek vessels tore into Aldrich's flank, their superior maneuverability making up for their smaller numbers. Rhodes allowed himself a small smile. Now we have a chance. The tide began to turn, but the humans' reprieve was short-lived. Alarms blared as a new threat emerged. Sir, the tactical officer shouted, we have multiple hostile contacts. It's the pirates. Volara's ships darted between the warring factions, picking off damaged vessels with surgical precision. Rhodes smacked his head on the console. Damn it! We can't fight a war on two fronts. As if in answer to his frustration, the bridge doors hissed open. A shadow detached itself from the wall, resolving into the familiar form of Kalar. No need to fight two enemies, the assassin purred, energy blade humming to life. When I can end this now... Rhodes barely had time to duck as Kalar lunged. The two men grappled, crashing into consoles as the battle raged outside. Kalar's alien strength gave him the advantage, but Rhodes fought with the desperation of a man with everything to lose. He managed to get a hand on Kalar's weapon, twisting it away. The energy blade sliced through a power conduit. Sparks showered down as Kalar screamed, his body convulsing as electricity coursed through him. He collapsed, smoke rising from his charred form. Rhodes stood over his fallen foe, panting heavily. Get a security team in here, he ordered, and someone patch me through to Aldrich. It's time we talked. As the human ambassador opened negotiations with his nemesis, Volara's forces continued their guerrilla assault. The pirate queen's laughter echoed through her ship as she watched the chaos unfold. Keep them busy, she commanded. Soon the ancient fleet's secrets will be ours. Little did she know, a small team was already en route to her command ship, carrying with them humanity's last, desperate hope. Hope. As the shuttle docked with the flagship, Rhodes steeled himself for the battles ahead. The Galactic Council conclave loomed, a crucible that would determine humanity's fate. As representatives from 100 worlds filed into the vast chamber, Rhodes felt the weight of his species' future on his shoulders. Kivos Aldrich strode to the podium, his eyes gleaming with righteous fury. Esteemed colleagues, he began, his voice ringing through the hall, I come before you with evidence that will shatter everything we thought we knew about the ancient fleet. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as Aldrich presented his data. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing twisted alien architecture and weaponry of unimaginable power. These ships were not created by humanity's ancestors, Aldrich declared. They are the work of a malevolent race bent on galactic genocide. The humans have perpetrated a lie, using false bloodline claims to seize control of this doomsday fleet. The chamber erupted in chaos. Rhodes gripped the edge of his seat, his fingers tightening. He turned to Axiom's holographic avatar. Tell me you have something. The AI's serene face betrayed no emotion. I do, Ambassador, but the truth may be complicated. Rhodes took the floor, his heart pounding. He presented Axiom's findings, raw data scrolling across the screens. The fleet's original purpose was exploration and scientific discovery, he explained. Yes, its creators later turned to xenophobia and violence, but at its core, this technology represents the best of us, the drive to understand, to reach beyond our limits. Axiom's avatar expanded, filling the chamber. I have interacted extensively with humans, the AI stated. Their curiosity, their resilience, their capacity for growth, these qualities make them worthy inheritors of this legacy. The delegates argued, tempers flaring. Just as it seemed the negotiations might collapse entirely, a garbled transmission cut through the din. Admiral Freck's face appeared on the main screen, distorted but recognizable. This is a message to all Council worlds. The mass relays are now under my control. No fleets will be permitted to depart without my express authorization. Shock rippled through the assembly. Rhodes locked eyes with Aldrich, both men realizing the magnitude of this betrayal. Before anyone could react, alarms blared. Valara's pirate armada poured through the blockaded relays, swarming key systems in a massive offensive. "All hands to battle stations," Rhodes roared as he sprinted for the command center. He found Aldrich already there, barking orders to his own forces. "A temporary truce," Rhodes offered, extending his hand. Aldrich hesitated, then clasped it firmly. "For now." The human flagship shuddered as enemy boarders breached the hull. Rhodes and Aldrich fought side by side, energy weapons blazing as they repelled wave after wave of pirates. On the Conclave station, Jack Hawkins found himself face to face with a nightmarish sight. Zarn Crix, scarred but very much alive. The two warriors clashed in a brutal melee, their battle carrying them through corridors choked with smoke and bodies. A massive explosion rocked the station. Hawkins watched in horror as the entire sector began to decompress, civilians clawing desperately at sealed bulkheads. Lieutenant Dietrich's voice crackled over the comms. "I can reach them!" Before Hawkins could protest, she was moving, her suit's thrusters propelling her into the vacuum. Dietrich fought against the escaping atmosphere, grabbing civilians and hurling them to safety. As the last refugee cleared the airlock, Hawkins saw Dietrich's oxygen levels plummet. "Sarah!" he screamed, but it was too late. Her lifeless form drifted away, swallowed by the void. Grief turned to rage as Hawkins rounded on Crix. The alien assassin's mandibles clicked in amusement, then froze as he saw the look in the human's eyes. Their final confrontation was swift and merciless. Crix's body crumpled to the deck, Hawkins standing over him with trembling fists. With the immediate crisis contained, Rhodes gathered the surviving delegates. He spoke of unity, of standing together against Valara's threat. Pragmatic voices from a dozen worlds joined him, recognizing the need for decisive action. Axiom proposed a daring plan, retrofitting key human ships with advanced tech to help stabilize contested systems. The AI's earnest offer of assistance swayed even the most skeptical aliens. As the new coalition prepared for war, Rhodes noticed Aldrich slipping away. The hardliner's eyes burned with hatred as he turned to face the human ambassador one last time. "This isn't over," Aldrich snarled. "I'll scour every corner of this galaxy until I find proof of your lies. And when I do, I'll burn your precious fleet to ash." Rhodes watched him go, a chill running down his spine. He knew Aldrich's crusade could prove an even greater threat than Valara's pirate armada. The war for humanity's future had only just begun. Rhodes watched Aldrich's retreating form, pushing aside the gnawing worry. There were more pressing matters at hand. He turned to face the assembled coalition, a patchwork of human and alien forces united by necessity. "We move on Corvin 5, he announced, pulling up a holographic display of the industrial world. "Intelligence suggests it's one of Valara's primary arms manufacturing hubs. We take it out, we cut off a major supply line for her pirate insurgency." As the task force prepared for departure, Jack Hawkins led his vanguard team through final equipment checks. The loss of Sarah Dietrich still greatly troubled on him, but he channeled his grief into laser-focused commitment. The journey to Corvin 5 was tense, punctuated by sporadic skirmishes with pirate patrols. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, Rhodes's flagship rocked with the impact of heavy fire from concealed ground batteries. "Evasive maneuvers," he barked. "Get us to the drop zone." Hawkins and his team plummeted through roiling clouds of smoke and debris, their drop pods slamming into the outskirts of Corvin's sprawling industrial center. The moment their boots hit the ground, they were met with a hail of energy bolts. "Contact front!" Hawkins shouted, Diving for cover behind a twisted hunk of machinery, he popped up, returning fire, and froze. Through the chaos of battle, he caught a glimpse of a familiar, haunting figure. Zarn Crix. Impossible, Hawkins breathed. But there was no mistaking the alien assassin's distinctive profile as he directed squads of mercenaries with lethal efficiency. The vanguard pushed forward, but Crix's forces seemed to anticipate their every move. Ambush after ambush decimated Hawkins's detachments, turning the urban landscape into a killing field. Back on the command ship, Axiom's avatar flickered to life beside Rhodes. "Ambassador, I'm detecting anomalous energy readings beneath the planet's surface." Rhodes frowned. "What kind of readings?" "Unknown but powerful. Initiating deep scans now." As the AI worked, Rhodes coordinated the ongoing assault. Kelleris's Drayson ships provided crucial air support, their energy weapons carving swaths through pirate defenses. "Ambassador!" Axiom's usually calm voice held a note of urgency. "Scans reveal a massive subterranean complex. The technology, it's beyond anything in our database." Rhodes's eyes widened. "Can you get me a visual?" A holographic projection materialized, showing a sprawling network of tunnels and chambers filled with strange, pulsing machines. "It appears to be of alien origin," Axiom continued, "far more advanced than current galactic civilization. My analysis suggests it belonged to Corvin's original inhabitants, who departed long ago." "Hawkins," Rhodes calmed, "change of plans. We need you to push through to these coordinates. There's something down there we need to secure." Hawkins acknowledged, rallying his battered forces for a final push. As they fought their way towards the entrance to the underground complex, they found themselves in a deadly race against Crix and his mercenaries. The two groups converged on a massive set of doors etched with intricate alien script. Weapons fire ricocheted off ancient alloys as Hawkins' team provided covering fire for their tech specialist. With a grinding of long-dormant mechanisms, the doors slowly parted. Both sides surged forward, spilling into a cavernous chamber that defied belief. At its center stood a colossal ring-like structure, crackling with energy. "It's a gateway," Axiom's voice echoed in their comms. "Part of an intergalactic transportation network. If Valara's forces seize control, they could move reinforcements anywhere in the galaxy," Hawkins finished grimly. The chamber erupted in all-out warfare. Hawkins's team fought desperately to reach the gateway's control systems, but Crix's mercenaries seemed to have the upper hand. The alien commander's fingers danced across an alien interface, overriding security protocols. Hawkins lunged forward, only to be hurled back by a sudden pulse of energy. He watched in horror as the gateway hummed to life, disgorging wave after wave of pirate reinforcements. Just as all seemed lost, the chamber shook violently. Chunks of debris rained down as precision orbital strikes from Kelleris's ships penetrated the complex. Taking advantage of the chaos, Rhodes led a strike team through a newly opened fissure. They emerged behind Crix's position, catching the mercenaries in a devastating crossfire. Hawkins locked eyes with Crix across the battlefield. The alien assassin's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement or rage. They charged towards each other, but before they could clash, a stray energy bolt struck a critical system. The gateway's hum rose to a deafening shriek. Arcs of wild energy lashed out, forcing both sides to take cover. When the energy storm subsided, Crix lay motionless, his body smoking. As the dust settled, Axiom's avatar materialized near the gateway controls. "I can stabilize the system," the AI announced, "but it will take time to fully secure our control." Rhodes nodded, already planning their next move. "This could be the key to turning the tide. We need to—" His words were cut off by a priority alert. Kaivos Aldrich had resurfaced, and reports were flooding in of Alliance ships trapped in some kind of interdiction field. Rhodes clenched his fists. Even as they secured this victory, new challenges arose. The war for humanity's future was just the beginning. Rhodes' moment of triumph was short-lived. The priority alert blared through the command center, its urgent tone cutting through the din of post-battle chatter. "Ambassador, we have a situation." Axiom's avatar flickered, its usual composure replaced by an uncharacteristic urgency. Kaivas Aldrich has activated some form of large-scale interdiction field. Our ships, they're being scattered across remote star systems. Rhodes felt the blood drain from his face. Show me. A holographic display materialized, revealing the horrifying extent of Aldrich's attack. Dozens of Alliance vessels blinked out of existence, only to reappear light years away, stranded and vulnerable. We need to regroup, Rhodes barked, already formulating plans. Axiom, use the gateway network. We can... Another alert interrupted him. Sir, distress call from Halcon. It's Hawkins. The holodisplay shifted, showing a war-torn cityscape. Hawkins's face appeared, bloodied and grim. We're overrun, he shouted over the sound of weapons fire. Valera's forces hit us hard. Civilians are still evacuating, but we can't hold much longer. Rhodes watched in helpless horror as Hawkins's Marines fought a desperate rearguard action. Energy bolts sizzled through the air, cutting down soldiers and civilians alike. Hawkins himself stood at the center of the maelstrom, covering the retreat of the last transports. Go! Hawkins roared, his weapon blazing. We'll buy you time. The feed cut out abruptly, leaving Rhodes staring at static. He closed his eyes, allowing himself a moment of grief before the weight of command settled back on his shoulders. Sir? A junior officer approached, her voice trembling. We've lost contact with the Halcon Expeditionary Force. They're gone. Before Rhodes could process this devastating blow, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Allied ships, stranded by Aldrich's wormhole barrage, found themselves easy prey for Valera's waiting pirate armadas. On the ice moon of Kavan, Kelleris's Drassen forces fought tooth and claw to defend their research outpost. Rhodes watched the battle unfold through grainy long-range scans, his heart sinking as he realized they couldn't reach them in time. Kelleris herself stood atop the outpost's highest spire, energy crackling around her scaled form. With a defiant roar, she channeled raw power into the facility's shields, buying precious minutes for the wounded to escape. As the last shuttles cleared the atmosphere, Aldrich's ships appeared in low orbit. Their weapons rained hellfire upon the outpost, vaporizing it in a blinding flash. Kelleris's life signs winked out, her sacrifice seared into Rhodes's memory. In the somber quiet of the command center, Rhodes surveyed the faces of his fellow commanders, human and alien alike. Their expressions mirrored his own: grief, anger, and iron grit. No more half measures, Rhodes declared, his voice steely. We end this, here and now. A chorus of agreement echoed through the room. Fingers flew across consoles as the coalition's remaining forces regrouped. The newly discovered gateway network hummed to life, allowing them to strike at Valera's strongholds with surgical precision. As days turned to weeks, a brutal war of attrition unfolded. Rhodes led daring rescue missions, braving Aldrich's kill zones to extract pockets of stranded survivors. Each successful evacuation felt like a small victory against the crushing weight of their losses. But even as the tide began to turn, intelligence reports painted an alarming picture. Valera, sensing her impending defeat, had grown increasingly erratic. Intercepted transmissions spoke of a new alliance, one that threatened to upend the very fabric of reality itself. Rhodes stood before a gathering of his most trusted advisors, his expression grim. We've confirmed it, he announced. Valera has made contact with the Omega Singularity cult. If she gains control of their reality engine... The implications hung heavy in the air. Rhodes took a deep breath, steeling himself for what came next. Axiom has proposed a counter-strategy, but the risks, they're beyond anything we've faced before. As he laid out the AI's audacious plan, Rhodes saw the shock and disbelief on his comrades' faces, the same emotions that had coursed through him when he first heard it. To confront Valera on her own terms, Rhodes continued, we must enter the Singularity's virtual battle space, a realm where thought shapes reality and the laws of physics are in constant flux. Murmurs of concern rippled through the gathering. Rhodes raised a hand, silencing them. I know the dangers, but we're out of options. Valera must be stopped, no matter the consequences. As preparations began for this final high-stakes endeavor, Rhodes retreated to his quarters. He stared out at the vast expanse of space, feeling the weight of countless lives on his shoulders. Whatever came next would decide not just the fate of humanity, but of all sentient life in the galaxy. With a deep breath, Rhodes straightened his uniform and strode towards the bridge. It was time to face destiny.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.